Okay, I think this is the 5th video now. This is getting way longer than I wanted, but this is the last part of the essay instructions. Honestly, this is just saying the skills that you're going to use here, and this tells you how you're scored. Now, really, the scoring, I think, is easier to show you on the rubric. Every time we assign you an essay, we give you a scoring rubric. So when I have to score your very, very final copy, I have to score it based on these criteria. And I like this because it makes my grading pretty easy, and it should make it easy for you to understand. Mechanics is worth 35 points. It says students will communicate using academic language and conventions of standard American English. So that's kind of the objective there. So if I score you between a 27 and a 35, it means that you have minimal or no spelling/grammatical errors. Word choice or diction establishes authority in a scholarly professional tone. So that would be the expert level. Now, if you receive deductions there, when I score you on Turnitin, I explain that. Then there's the level of accomplished, capable, beginner, and that's how I score you. And I think the rubric goes on to a second page a little bit. So that's how we get our total out of 200 points. So make sure you're familiar with that. Then there is a rhetorical analysis situation triangle. This educates you on what rhetorical situation means. Ethos, logos, pathos. It's really just something you need to be aware of throughout both Comp 1 and 2. Ethos is your level of credibility. So because this is a story that happened to you, you have credibility in telling it. As we move into different forms of argument, you do have to be careful with credibility. If you were to write an essay about global warming or, something along those lines, you may not have credibility in that area if you're not an environmental scientist. So you would want to cite legitimate studies done by credible environmental scientists. So that's what ethos means, is establishing credibility or authority as the speaker. Pathos is emotion. So I think when you tell your own story, you have an ability to somehow establish empathy. And I actually see a little bit of the word empathy in the word pathos. It's that P-A-T-H, okay? So empathy is getting people to connect with you on a human level and you connecting with your audience on a human level. Maybe your reader has not experienced the exact same circumstances as your story, but they can still connect in some way that they have experienced something similar. Logos is logic, and this to me is just 2 + 2 = 4. It's using sound logic, connecting points logically from one to the other, not using logical fallacies. There is a logical fallacies handout posted under the Great Resources for You link, and we'll talk more about those later. So, this just gives you some tips on using the rhetorical triangle effectively. So you'll want to take a look at this more closely, and that's why it's there. So you can review that. Then your 2 textbooks are linked here. Let's Get Writing, chapters 1, 2, and 4, and You Writing chapters 2 and 3. So you are supposed to be looking at those this week. So those are your reading materials, and then you have your learning activities finally. So the first thing you have due, and it's already due Wednesday, January 20th by 11:59 p.m. So this is your invention strategy, but we do want you to introduce yourself to your classmates. So part A covers all of that. Part B is a belief. It asks you to express a belief. So it's just an idea that a person holds as being true. It's whatever belief that you want to express. And it could be anything from, I believe all people are good. I believe teachers are really mentors. I believe that the healthcare workers on the front lines should be our nation's heroes. I believe Black Lives Matter. I believe this, I believe that. It's anything you believe. It can be controversial. It can be not controversial. Now, I want to give you a little hint. You are allowed to carry forward the same topic that you use on your first essay into your second and third. The problem is your second essay is an informative essay. In your third essay, we get into argument with classical argument. So if you're wanting to do that, you really do have to pick a belief that is somewhat debatable and controversial in a way. So, that's up to you. And that's the kind of thing that I'm going to look at when I grade these, is if you're choosing a belief that I don't feel you're going to be able to carry into the next 2 essays, I'm going to mention that to you. And it doesn't mean that you can't write about it. It just means that you are going to have to kind of start over with a new topic when you get to the other essays. So the reason that they formatted the class this way is so that you do have the ability to stick with the same topic throughout, but you'll just be writing different types of essays using that topic. And I think that that decision was made because we are now doing this in 8 weeks. And if you are already familiar with that topic and using it, it should help you. So we're going to end this video and go into another one here in just a second.